The Prometheus maintained a geosynchronous orbit above the Martian excavation site, its sensors constantly monitoring the alien chamber 2 kilometers beneath the rusty surface. Captain Ilara Chen stood at the viewport, watching the red planet rotate slowly beneath them. 3 days had passed since the discovery, and sleep had become a distant memory. "Captain, you need to see this," Dr. Makoto Ishii called from the science station. The xenolinguist's eyes were rimmed with exhaustion, but excitement animated his features. Ilara moved to his station, where holographic symbols from the alien cache rotated in 3 dimensions. Another breakthrough. "We've isolated a repeating sequence in the warning text," Makoto explained, highlighting a pattern of geometric shapes. "It's not just ignite only when darkness consumes all light. There's more. We think it's referring to something called the void between stars, or possibly the hunger that devours light." The translation matrix is still processing the nuances. Commander Rodriguez entered the bridge, carrying a crystalline fragment in a containment field. "The material analysis is complete. You won't believe this." He placed the sample on the central display table, where it pulsed with a faint blue luminescence. The crystalline structure isn't just similar to neural networks, it's designed to interface directly with them, specifically with human neural networks. "That's impossible," Ilara said, staring at the gently pulsing crystal. "Whoever built that chamber did so millions of years before humans existed." "I know," Rodriguez replied, "which means either they could predict evolutionary pathways with impossible precision, or they engineered them," finished Dr. Annika Patel as she joined them on the bridge. The geneticist's dark eyes were wide with the implications. "Captain, I've been comparing the crystalline structure to human DNA sequencing. There are parallels that cannot be coincidental. Whoever these builders were, they didn't just predict human evolution. They influenced it." Silence fell over the bridge as the magnitude of her statement sank in. Humanity's origin story might need complete rewriting. The quiet was broken by an urgent communication from Earth. Admiral Wei's face appeared on the main screen, his expression grim. "Captain Chen, what's your progress?" "We're making breakthroughs hourly, Admiral. The technology is far beyond our understanding, but we're beginning to grasp fundamental principles. The schematics appear to be for vessels capable of." "Accelerate your timeline," Wei interrupted. "Deep space observatories have detected anomalies approaching from the Kuiper Belt. Multiple objects, massive energy signatures, moving at speeds that should be impossible." Ilara felt a chill run down her spine. "First contact. Most likely. And given their trajectory and speed, they're not slowing down for pleasantries. The Security Council is implementing first contact protocols. But privately," Wei's voice dropped, "privately, they're preparing for the worst. How quickly can you construct a prototype based on those schematics?" Dr. Ishii looked up from his station, face pale. "Admiral, there's something else in the warning text we just deciphered. It suggests these ships were created as a defense against something specific, something that had destroyed the builders' civilization. Then perhaps history is repeating itself," Wei said grimly. "Whatever's approaching, it's deliberately jamming our attempts at communication. That's rarely the action of peaceful visitors." Ilara studied the schematics floating above the central display. The sleek, predatory lines of the vessels spoke of purpose, not exploration, but protection. "We can have a small prototype ready in 72 hours, she said finally. "But Admiral, we'd be activating technology we barely understand, created by a civilization we know nothing about." "Understood, Captain. But right now, mysterious alien technology may be our only advantage." Wei's expression hardened. "You have authorization to proceed with construction immediately. Whatever's coming, I want humanity to be ready." As the communication ended, Ilara turned to her team. "You heard the Admiral. We have 3 days to build the impossible." The emergency session of the United Defense Council stretched into its 5th hour as reports of Rax incursions flooded in from across the globe. Orbital defense platforms, Humanity's proudest achievements lay in ruins, their wreckage creating a deadly ring around Earth. Admiral Wei stood at the head of the table, his uniform immaculate despite not having slept in 36 hours. Conventional weapons are ineffective, General Hernandez reported, her voice steady despite the grim news. Ballistic missiles, laser arrays, kinetic bombardment, all either intercepted or absorbed by their hull technology. Our strongest electromagnetic pulse barely disrupted their systems for 8 seconds. The holographic display at the center of the table showed Vrax vessels methodically neutralizing military installations worldwide. Their strategy was clear: eliminate resistance capability first, then proceed with their processing. "What about civilian evacuations?" asked the representative from the European Alliance. "To where?" Wei's question hung in the air. The Vrax have established blockades in low Earth orbit. Nothing gets past them without permission. Secretary General Okafor, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke. "What do they want with us? If simple extermination was their goal, they could have bombarded the planet from orbit. Their communication patterns suggest a hive intelligence," explained Dr. Yusuf, the Council's xenobiology expert. Individual Vrax appear to function as specialized cells within a larger organism. Based on intercepts, they view humanity as an anomaly to be corrected rather than an enemy to be defeated. "They're here to reorganize us." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Wei's secure terminal chimed with an incoming transmission from the Prometheus. "Captain Chen, please tell me you have progress to report." Ilara's face appeared on screen, tension evident in her expression. "The prototype is constructed, Admiral. We've integrated the crystalline technology with human-built components to create what the alien schematics designate as a stellar harvester. We're calling it the Phoenix. Can it fight?" Wei asked, conscious of the council members listening intently. Ilara hesitated. "Theoretically, yes. The weapon systems appear designed to disrupt neural networks, potentially devastating against the Vrax hive mind. But sir, we're activating technology we barely understand. The power requirements alone should tear the ship apart. And yet the systems are stabilizing themselves in ways that defy our physics. The crystalline network seems to be growing, adapting to our modifications. Dr. Ishii believes the ship is building neural pathways to interface with its human crew." The council erupted into overlapping questions, but Wei silenced them with a raised hand. "Time frame for deployment. We can launch within 6 hours, but I must emphasize the risks. We have no idea what will happen when the main systems fully activate. The translations warn that these ships were designed as weapons of last resort, capable of unleashing forces beyond conventional control." Wei looked at the tactical display, showing the systematic dismantling of Earth's defenses. "Captain, look at what's happening." Last Resort arrived with the Vrax fleet. He turned to address the council. "We're authorizing immediate deployment of the Phoenix prototype. Captain Chen will lead a volunteer crew to engage the Vrax command vessel. And if it fails?" Secretary General Okafor asked, voicing what everyone feared. Wei's expression remained impassive. "Then humanity's epitaph will state that we faced extinction on our feet, not our knees. Captain Chen, you have your orders. Launch as soon as the Phoenix is ready." "Understood, Admiral." Ilara's face betrayed no fear despite the weight now resting on her shoulders. "We won't fail." As the transmission ended, Wei allowed himself a moment of hope. Sometimes, he thought, salvation came from the most unexpected places, even a million-year-old cache buried under Martian dust. The final preparations aboard the Phoenix unfolded with controlled urgency. In the engine room, Dr. Sanjay Patel monitored energy readings that defied conventional physics, while in the medical bay, Dr. Liana Noack attached neural interface patches to each crew member. The patches contained microscopic fragments of the crystalline technology, designed to facilitate communication between human minds and the ship's systems. "How does it feel?" Ilara asked Lieutenant Michael Chen, her younger brother, and the ship's navigation officer, as Noack applied his patch. "Like a mild electrical buzz," he replied, then his eyes widened. "Wait, I can feel the ship. Not with my hands, but in my mind." Noack nodded. "The interface is working better than expected. The crystalline technology seems almost eager to connect with human neural patterns." Over the ship-wide comm, Rodriguez's voice called from engineering. "Captain, to the bridge. We're receiving new data from the core systems." When Ilara arrived, the bridge hummed with activity as crew members settled into stations. The obsidian control panels, initially blank, now displayed intuitive interfaces that responded to both touch and thought. "What do we have, Commander?" Rodriguez gestured to the main display where complex equations scrolled faster than human eyes could follow. "The ship is talking to itself. These are system optimizations happening in real time. The crystalline network is rewriting its own operational parameters." "Is it dangerous?" Ilara asked, watching as the ship's internal lighting pulsed in rhythm with the crew's collective heartbeat. "Not dangerous," Dr. Patel said as he joined them on the bridge. "Miraculous. The quantum processors are adapting to our thought patterns, creating interfaces customized for each crew member. It's as if the ship is learning us." The final pre-launch checklist completed with 10 minutes remaining on the Vrax ultimatum. From the command chair, Ilara opened a channel to Earth Defense Command. "Admiral Wei, Phoenix is ready for launch." Wei's face appeared on screen, the command center visible behind him. "Godspeed, Captain. Remember, your primary objective is to demonstrate our capability to the Vrax. Force them to reconsider their timetable. If possible, establish communication. And if they don't want to talk." Wei's expression hardened. "Then make them regret it. Phoenix is authorized for unrestricted engagement." The launch countdown began as ground crews cleared the massive underground facility that had housed the Phoenix's construction. The ship's engines, hybrid systems combining human fusion technology with alien power matrices, ignited with a soft blue glow. "Neural interfaces at optimal levels," reported Dr. Noack from the science station. "The ship is mapping our brain patterns, and something else is happening. It's creating a network between crew members." Ilara felt it too. A subtle awareness of every person aboard, not their thoughts, but their presence, their emotional states. The Phoenix wasn't just a vessel, it was becoming an extension of its crew. "Navigation. Plot intercept course with the Vrax command ship," she ordered, feeling the ship's response before Michael even entered the coordinates. The Phoenix rose on pillars of blue fire, accelerating with impossible grace through Earth's atmosphere. Conventional physics suggested the G-forces should have crushed them, but the ship's gravitic systems compensated perfectly, its internal environment remaining stable despite their meteoric ascent. As they breached the upper atmosphere, the first Vrax interceptors appeared on their sensors, sleek, predatory vessels dispatched to eliminate the unexpected threat. "Weapons systems online," reported Lieutenant Novak from Tactical. "The ship is suggesting targeting solutions. It knows exactly where to hit them." Ilara's hand hovered over the weapons control, integrated seamlessly into her command chair. "Let's show them what Phoenix can do. Target engines and communication systems only. We want to disable, not destroy." As the Vrax ships opened fire, the Phoenix's crystalline network pulsed with energy. The battle for humanity's survival had begun. The void between Earth and lunar orbit became a deadly dance of light and shadow as the Phoenix weaved between Vrax interceptors. Lieutenant Novak's hands flew across the tactical console, but Ilara noticed something strange. The ship was responding milliseconds before Novak's commands were entered. "They're targeting our power core," Novak called out as 3 Vrax vessels coordinated their attack patterns. A barrage of green-tinged energy beams converged on the Phoenix. Instead of evasive maneuvers, the ship's crystalline hull pulsed, and the enemy fire was absorbed entirely into its structure. "Power reserves increasing by 22%, reported Dr. Patel, his voice filled with wonder. "The crystalline matrix is converting their weapons' energy directly into usable power. It's not just defensive, It's parasitic. Ilara gripped her command chair as something unprecedented occurred. The neural interface at the base of her skull warmed, and suddenly her perception expanded beyond the physical confines of the bridge. She could sense the Phoenix's systems as extensions of her own body, feel the vacuum of space against its hull like wind on skin. "Captain." Rodriguez's voice seemed distant despite him standing merely feet away. "Your neural readings are off the charts." Ilara couldn't respond immediately. Her consciousness was partially merged with the ship's systems, seeing tactical possibilities unfold like branching pathways of light. She understood, in that moment, that the Phoenix wasn't merely designed to be piloted, it was meant to be inhabited. "I see them," she whispered. "I see the Vrax ships, and something more." Through the expanded perception granted by the neural link, Ilara glimpsed the Vrax consciousness, not individual minds, but a collective intelligence flowing between vessels like currents in an ocean. Their thoughts weren't alien in the way she'd expected. Beneath the coldly logical exterior lay fear, determination, and something that might be interpreted as a sense of duty. "They're running from something," she said, her voice stronger now. "The Vrax aren't conquerors, they're refugees with a mission." Dr. Noack moved to Ilara's side, medical scanner in hand. "Captain, your neural patterns are synchronizing with the ship's crystalline matrix. If this continues, it's what the ship was designed for." Ilara interrupted, certainty flowing through her. "Not just human pilots, human integration. We're the missing component." As if responding to her realization, the Phoenix's weapon systems came fully online, not conventional armaments, but concentrated pulses of multidimensional energy that could sever the neural connections binding the Vrax collective without destroying their vessels. "Target their command ship's central neural node," Ilara ordered, the location appearing in her mind with perfect clarity. "Disruptive pulse only. We need to talk to them." The Phoenix fired, a beam of iridescent energy that bypassed the Vrax flagship's defenses as if they didn't exist. The effect was immediate. Dozens of smaller vessels suddenly drifted, their movements erratic as the coordinating intelligence was temporarily severed. Through the neural interface, Ilara felt the disorientation and panic of thousands of Vrax minds suddenly isolated from their collective. Individual consciousness was almost painful to them, a state they experienced only in emergencies. Without hesitation, she opened a direct neural transmission to the Vrax flagship, bypassing conventional communication systems. She projected not just words but concepts: cooperation, understanding, shared threat. The response came as a chaotic flood of alien thought patterns, confusion, anger, but beneath it, a desperate hope. Images flashed through the neural connection: a darkness between stars, worlds being consumed, and a name repeated like a prayer or curse: the void. "We need to establish clear communication," Ilara said, looking to her stunned crew. "They're not what we thought they were. And we're exactly what they've been searching for." The Phoenix maintained position 5 kilometers from the Vrax flagship, a tense standoff as both sides reassessed their understanding of the other. On the bridge, Dr. Noack worked feverishly to refine the neural translation matrix, enhancing communication between the disparate species. "It's like trying to translate between quantum computing and watercolor painting," she explained, frustration evident in her voice. "Their collective consciousness processes information fundamentally differently than our individualized minds." Ilara stood at the central holographic display where fragmented images from the Vrax transmissions coalesced into recognizable patterns, star systems, migration routes, and most disturbingly, regions of absolute darkness expanding across known space. "They've been monitoring the expansion of this void for thousands of years," she said, tracing the progression across galactic quadrants. "According to these time stamps, it's accelerating." Dr. Patel joined her at the display, his expression grave. "The physics doesn't make sense. Nothing should be able to consume light and matter at this scale. It defies conservation of energy." "Unless it's not consuming," Rodriguez suggested, "but transferring." moving mass from our dimension to another. Through her neural connection to the ship, Ilara sensed a subtle pulsing, the Phoenix responding to their discussion, offering data buried deep within its crystalline memory. As she opened herself to the information flow, ancient star charts materialized on the display, showing the home system of the ship's creators. "These constellations don't exist anymore," Patel whispered, comparing the ancient charts to current stellar cartography. "This entire sector is now part of the Perseus Void, long assumed to be a natural astronomical feature." "It wasn't natural," Ilara said with certainty, knowledge flowing through the neural interface. "It was the first incursion of what the creators called Oblivion Tide, what the Vrax now call the Void." A communication request from the Vrax flagship interrupted their discovery. When accepted, the bridge illuminated with a multifaceted holographic presence, not a physical representation, but a direct neural projection of the Vrax collective consciousness. "You wield creator technology with unexpected proficiency." The alien thoughts coalesced into words everyone could understand, though the translation felt incomplete, missing nuances beyond human comprehension. "Your neural patterns match ancient parameters." This was unanticipated. "We didn't know the significance of what we found," Ilara responded, allowing her own thoughts to flow through the neural interface, enriching her words with genuine emotional context, confusion, determination, concern for her species. "We were defending ourselves." The Vrax consciousness rippled with something akin to bitter amusement. "Your species was never the target. Your awakening of supernova technology triggered emergency protocols. We were dispatched to contain potential catastrophe." "Catastrophe?" Rodriguez questioned. "Premature activation of dimensional anchors draws the Void's attention," the Vrax explained, projecting images of star systems collapsing in rapid succession. "We have sacrificed 12 worlds to redirect its hunger away from populated sectors. Your activation of creator technology interrupted carefully balanced containment efforts." Ilara processed this revelation through both human intuition and the expanded awareness granted by the neural interface. "You've been fighting a holding action for thousands of years. The creators designed the Supernova fleet to do more than contain. It was meant to reverse the Void's expansion." The Vrax collective pulsed with complex emotions, hope tinged with deep skepticism. "Our ancestors were engineered to pilot these vessels, but that capability diminished over generations. Our neural architecture became incompatible." "But ours isn't," Ilara stated, understanding dawning fully. "The creators didn't abandon this galaxy. They invested in a long-term solution. Us." The Vrax consciousness contracted, then expanded in what might have been their equivalent of a reluctant nod. "We require verification. Direct interface is necessary. Your vessel will dock with our command ship. Your neural capabilities must be tested." As the communication ended, Ilara turned to her uneasy crew. "Opinions? It could be a trap," Novak warned. "Or the beginning of the only alliance that might save both our species," Ilara countered. "Plot approach vectors for docking procedures. We're going to meet our reluctant saviors face to face." The docking procedure between the Phoenix and the Vrax flagship completed with precision that belied the tension permeating both vessels. Ilara led a small delegation: Dr. Noack, Dr. Patel, and Lieutenant Rodriguez, through the luminescent umbilical connecting the ships. The neural interface at her skull base pulsed rhythmically, already detecting the concentrated consciousness waiting beyond the airlock. "Remember," she cautioned her team, "they experience reality collectively. Individual interaction might confuse or even offend them." The airlock cycled open to reveal an environment unlike anything human eyes had witnessed. The Vrax command center resembled an organic neural structure more than a mechanical bridge. Glowing filaments crisscrossed the chamber, connecting to various biomechanical interfaces where Vrax operators seemed partially merged with their stations. At the center stood Quetzon, overseer of the Vrax fleet. Nearly 3 meters tall, its exoskeleton gleamed with neural transmitters, and its 4 upper limbs moved with unsettling synchronization. 2 Vrax attendants flanked it, their carapaces marked with symbols denoting specialized functions within the collective. "We meet in physical space," Quetzal's thoughts manifested through the neural translator. "Inefficient, but necessary for your comprehension." Ilara stepped forward. "We appreciate your accommodation." The overseer's compound eyes studied the humans with analytical intensity. "Your species presents a paradox. Individually primitive, collectively unpredictable. Yet you interface with creator technology at efficiency levels that took our ancestors generations to achieve. Perhaps that was by design," Dr. Patel suggested. "The neural interface technology seems specifically calibrated to human brain patterns." Quetzal beckoned them toward a central platform, where a crystalline structure identical to the Phoenix's core pulsed with energy. "This is a creator diagnostic array. It will measure your neural compatibility with the Supernova protocol." Dr. Noack scanned the device with barely concealed scientific fascination. "It's remarkably similar to our medical neural mapping equipment, just exponentially more advanced. The creators seeded your development pathways," Quetzal explained. "Your medical technology didn't mimic theirs by coincidence." The implication silenced the humans momentarily. Their entire technological evolution might have been guided by ancient influences. "Who were they?" Ilara finally asked. "These creators who apparently engineered both our species." Quetzal's neural patterns rippled with something resembling reverence. "They called themselves the Lumina. Their civilization spanned galaxies before the void manifested. When conventional defenses failed, they initiated the continuity protocol, engineering complementary guardian species that would eventually unite against the common threat." Ilara stepped onto the diagnostic platform at Quetzal's gesture. Immediately, the crystalline structure responded, illuminating with patterns that matched her neural activity. "Remarkable." The overseer's thoughts betrayed genuine surprise. "Your compatibility exceeds theoretical maximums. The Supernova protocol requires neural plasticity combined with individualized decision matrices, qualities our collective consciousness evolved away from." Holographic projections materialized around them, displaying the specifications of the Supernova fleet, not just a single prototype, but hundreds of vessels designed to work in concert, creating a dimensional lattice capable of containing and ultimately reversing the void's expansion. "We were designed to protect and monitor," Quetzal continued. "Your species was designed to pilot and implement. Neither could succeed alone." Admiral Wei's voice interrupted through Ilara's comm unit. "Captain Chen, what's your status?" "Admiral, we need to establish a formal alliance with the Vrax immediately," she replied, watching as her teammates underwent their own neural diagnostics. "They've been fighting a holding action against an existential threat for millennia. The technology we discovered was always meant for humans to operate alongside Vrax support." Wei's skepticism was evident. "The same Vrax who were ready to process our entire species hours ago." "A misunderstanding born of incomplete information," Ilara explained. "They thought we were recklessly activating technology that would draw this void directly to Earth." Quetzal approached, its neural patterns projecting urgency. "Time constraints intensify. Our long-range sensors detect dimensional anomalies approaching your solar system. The void has sensed the activation of creator technology and diverted resources to investigate." "How long do we have?" Ilara asked. "Days, perhaps hours," the overseer replied. "The Supernova fleet must be constructed and deployed immediately. Your prototype vessel confirms human compatibility, but a single ship cannot establish the dimensional lattice required for containment." Ilara made the decision that would forever alter humanity's future. "Admiral Wei, request immediate authorization to formalize alliance with the Vrax Collective. We need to build a fleet." Earth's orbital space transformed under the Joint Human-Vrax Initiative. Massive fabrication platforms constructed by Vrax bioengineering merged with human quantum manufacturing techniques, producing vessels at an unprecedented rate. Each ship of the growing Supernova fleet required specific crystalline matrices that could only be grown under precise conditions, limiting production despite the urgent timeline. In the Phoenix's modified cargo bay, now serving as the Neural Integration Training Facility, Ilara observed the latest group of candidates. Of 30 volunteers, only 7 remained connected to the training interfaces, their neural patterns displayed on monitoring stations where Dr. Nowak analyzed their compatibility. Another 76% rejection rate, Nowak reported grimly. Even among pre-screened candidates, most human neural systems cannot sustain the level of integration required. Ilara watched as one candidate's monitoring station flashed red. Medical teams rushed in as the woman convulsed, neural overload threatening permanent damage before emergency protocols severed the connection. "We need more pilots," Ilara said, the weight of responsibility evident in her voice. "Every ship requires a primary neural integrator and at least 2 backups. We're refining the selection criteria based on successful integrations," Nowak explained. "There's a pattern emerging. Creative problem solvers with high empathy quotients show significantly better compatibility. The ships don't just need intellectual capacity. They need emotional intelligence." On the command deck, Ilara found Admiral Wei in conference with Quetzon and Dr. Patel. Holographic displays showed the propagation of dimensional anomalies throughout the outer solar system, time distortions, gravity fluctuations, and shadow matter manifestations that defied conventional physics. "The Void Scouts have arrived," Quetzon informed her. "They assessed defenses before the main incursion." Wei gestured to a tactical display showing the 37 completed vessels of the Supernova fleet. "We need at least 200 to establish the dimensional lattice according to VRAC's calculations, at current production rates." "We won't make it," Ilara finished. "Not unless we find a way to increase neural compatibility among candidates." Dr. Patel looked up from his analysis. "Captain, I've been studying the crystalline memory cores from both the Phoenix and VRAC's archives. I believe the creator technology was never meant to be used as separate vessels. The entire fleet functions as a single networked entity, like a distributed consciousness. Similar to our collective," Quetzon observed, "but maintaining individual nodes of creativity and adaptation." "Exactly," Patel continued. "What if we're approaching integration backward? Instead of trying to make each pilot compatible with an individual ship, we should create a network of all compatible pilots, then extend that network to encompass the fleet." Ilara considered the implications. "A human collective consciousness." "Not exactly," Patel clarified. "More like a neural commonwealth, pilots maintaining individuality but sharing cognitive resources across the network. The ships would connect to the entire pilot cadre rather than binding to individuals." The concept was revolutionary, but aligned with patterns Ilara had observed in the Phoenix's operational parameters. "How quickly can we implement this approach?" "We've already mapped the neural patterns of successful integrators," Nowak added, joining the discussion. "Establishing the foundational network could begin immediately." Within hours, the neural commonwealth concept moved from theory to implementation. The 23 successful integrators, including Ilara, gathered in the Phoenix's modified cargo bay, now filled with crystalline interface nodes arranged in a precise geometric pattern. "The procedure carries significant risks," Nowak warned them. "We're attempting something unprecedented, creating a distributed human neural network interfaced with alien technology." Lieutenant Michael Chen, having successfully integrated with navigation systems, spoke for many. "Compared to the certainty of the void, potential neural risks seem acceptable." As the integration began, Ilara experienced consciousness expanding beyond individual perception. She remained herself, yet simultaneously shared awareness with 22 other minds. Their thoughts didn't override hers but complemented them, offering perspectives and insights that enriched her understanding rather than diminishing her identity. Through this expanded awareness, the true nature of the Supernova fleet revealed itself. The ships weren't mere vessels but components of a vast dimensional stabilization matrix designed to reinforce the fundamental forces that defined reality against the entropy-accelerating effects of the void. When the neural commonwealth finally synchronized with the existing fleet vessels, a message embedded deep within the crystalline matrix activated, words left by the creators millennia ago, but meant precisely for this moment. The convergence succeeds. Guardian species united through necessity. The continuity protocol enters final phase. As Ilara's consciousness settled into this new expanded state, she understood with perfect clarity. Humans and Vracs had been engineered as complementary species, their civilizations guided along development paths that would eventually bring them together against the void. Their apparent differences masked a profound design compatibility, echoes of evolution orchestrated across millions of years for this critical moment. We need to accelerate production, she communicated simultaneously to Wei and Quetzon. The void isn't just coming, it's already here. The Supernova fleet assembled at the heliopause, 183 vessels arranged in a precise three-dimensional lattice formation. Each ship pulsed with crystalline energy, their midnight hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Through the neural commonwealth, Ilara perceived the entirety of the formation as clearly as she saw her own hands, feeling every vessel as an extension of collective human consciousness. Aboard the Phoenix, now serving as the fleet's coordination hub, Admiral Wei stood beside Quetzon, watching tactical displays that struggled to represent the multidimensional nature of their enemy. The dimensional breaches are multiplying, the Vrax overseer observed, its neural transmitters pulsing rapidly. The void no longer sends scouts. This is the main incursion. Beyond the fleet's position, space itself began to warp and distort. Stars visible one moment disappeared the next, leaving expanding regions of absolute darkness. Conventional sensors failed, reporting contradictory data as fundamental physical constants became unstable in proximity to the breaches. All ships prepare for Supernova protocol initiation, Ilara commanded, her thoughts flowing instantly through the neural commonwealth to every pilot in the fleet. Unlike verbal orders, her command carried complete tactical understanding, each pilot instantly comprehending their role in the complex defensive matrix. Through the neural link, Dr. Patel's analytical insights merged seamlessly with their collective awareness. The void isn't consuming matter and energy. It's unraveling the quantum forces that bind reality together. These aren't just attacks. They're attempting to rewrite the fundamental laws of physics in our dimension. As the darkness approached, the human pilots surrendered individual control, allowing their collective consciousness to operate the fleet as a single entity while maintaining the creative adaptability of independent minds. The neural commonwealth expanded, incorporating the specialized knowledge of each participant, Noak's biological expertise, Rodriguez's tactical experience, Michael Chen's intuitive understanding of spatial relationships. All became available to every pilot simultaneously. Dimensional lattice established, Ilara announced as the crystalline networks on all ships synchronized, creating a multidimensional energy pattern designed to reinforce the fabric of spacetime itself. The first contact between the supernova lattice and the void produced effects that defied human comprehension. Where darkness met light, reality itself seemed to hesitate, fundamental forces battling for dominance. Through the neural commonwealth, pilots experienced this conflict not as external observation, but as intimate sensation. The pain of spacetime under attack, the struggle to maintain coherent physical laws against entropy's acceleration. For a terrible moment, the defense seemed insufficient. 3 ships of the formation's edge winked out of existence as localized reality failed. The pilot's terror rippled through the neural commonwealth, not just fear of death, but horror at feeling the very foundation of existence dissolve. Yet this shared experience triggered something the void couldn't anticipate. Human adaptability amplified through collective intelligence. The neural commonwealth adjusted instantaneously, compensating for the lost ships and reconfiguring the dimensional lattice. It's working, Wei exclaimed as sensors showed the void's expansion halting at the boundary established by the fleet. Quetzal's neural patterns registered surprise tinged with hope. The containment exceeds theoretical parameters. Your collective neural architecture processes real-time adaptations faster than our predictive models suggested possible. But containing the void wasn't enough. The Supernova protocol was designed not merely to defend but to heal, to restore dimensional stability and reverse entropy acceleration. Through the crystalline interfaces, Ilara guided the Commonwealth toward the protocol's final phase. Initiate dimensional resonance cascade, she commanded. Her consciousness expanded to encompass the entire fleet. The crystalline networks on all ships pulsed in perfect harmony, generating energy patterns that rippled through multiple dimensions simultaneously. Where these patterns intersected with the void, darkness receded, not pushed back, but transformed as fundamental forces rebalanced and space-time healed itself. The effort strained the neural commonwealth to its limits. Pilots experienced reality from perspectives never meant for human minds, perceiving dimensions beyond conventional understanding. Several lost consciousness as their brains struggled to process the expanded awareness, but the network compensated, redistributing the neural load among remaining members. When the resonance cascade reached its peak, the boundary between light and darkness erupted in silent, magnificent complexity, like watching the birth of a universe in reverse. The void didn't merely retreat. It collapsed, dimensional breaches sealing as entropy reversed along the wavefront. As the phenomenon subsided, Ilara's perception returned gradually to normal human parameters. Through the ship's sensors, she witnessed the impossible. Stars reigniting where darkness had consumed them, celestial bodies reappearing as if they had never been erased. "The void is contained," she reported, her voice hoarse from the strain. Dimensional integrity is restabilizing throughout the system. Quetzal approached, its neural patterns radiating an emotion no human had ever witnessed from the Vrax. Profound wonder. "You've achieved more than containment. You've initiated healing of the dimensional fabric itself. Not even the creators managed this level of restoration." As the neural commonwealth eased connection intensity, allowing pilots to recover, a final message formed in the crystalline matrix of every ship, words that had waited millions of years for this precise moment. The circle completes. What began as necessity will continue as legacy. Guardianship transfers to the children of Earth and Vrax. The stars await your united stewardship. Admiral Wei stared at the tactical display showing the retreating darkness and the glowing supernova fleet. What happens now? Ilara rose from the neural interface chair, exhausted but filled with certainty. Now we rebuild the fleet, expand the Commonwealth, and continue what the Creator started. The void is contained but not eliminated. There will be other incursions, other dimensions threatened. She looked toward the stars beyond the view screen, no longer distant points of light, but potential homes and frontiers for two species united by ancient design and present necessity. "We were created for this purpose," she said, "to guard the light against the darkness. And now we know how."